Hi everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks. It is my first episode in the year 2022. Happy New Year everyone. It's exciting for me because this is my 4th year Podiversary. I have been doing this since January of 2018. So it's our birthday. Actually, my birthday did just pass at the end of December, and I am 50. So we've got 50 and 4, and we're celebrating. So yay! I hope you've got something to cheers with. I don't actually. I didn't bring my tea. I had coffee, but that's gone. Anyway, that was a goofy start, but just suffice it to say that as far as my 4 years having been doing this podcast, I want to say thank you to everyone who has decided to share this journey, no matter when you started, whether it was from the first episode or if you just joined just now. I appreciate you, and I'm thankful that you have chosen to spend even just a little bit of your day with me while I ramble about things that I love. Mostly knitting, some books, some TV shows and stuff like that. But thank you, and I am so grateful. I think I mentioned before that I don't have very many subscribers, and I love that. I love that there are even just a few of you. And I'm not here for the numbers. I'm here because this is what I want to do, and this is what's been making me happy. Gets me out of my comfort zone a little bit because I really am, in real life, a hermit crab. I am an introvert. I don't really feel comfortable around people. And this gives me a way to share what I love with a little bit of comfort being at home, but I'm still talking to somebody, and I get nervous every time, and you can tell because all my podcasts are very awkward. But that's okay. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Last year, it's crazy to say it's only been 4 days, but last year I did the anniversary temperature shawl, which, like most temperature like shawls or blankets or scarves, you pick a set number of yarn colors, and then you break down the temperatures within your area to blocks, and you assign a color to each of those temperature blocks. And that's what I did here. I had specified 17 colors, and I actually only used 16. My very my very coldest set of temperatures and that corresponding yarn never got used. It was like 6 degrees Fahrenheit or below, and we never got that low. So I never used that one particular ball. But there are 16 colors in here, and this is a really cool shawl. I think this could even look really beautiful as just a regular shawl. It's knit from one end to the other, and the lace border is done as you go. And I haven't blocked this, nor you'll be totally shocked. I haven't tucked in a lot of my ends. It wasn't until about a little more than halfway that I learned about weaving in the ends. The weaving Steven method. So yeah, and there's still a few that that I need to tuck in here towards the end, and that's mostly because it's a temperature shawl. You don't want to cut your yarn right away. You want to kind of go a few days to see if you're going to use that color again. So there are some that I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to use that. So, and then there are some that you're not going to use anymore. Kind of like, when you can tell when the seasons are changing, and you're not going to use your hottest color anymore, and kind of stuff like that. So you can kind of gauge But at the very beginning, there was a whole lot that I needed to tuck in, and I started, but I obviously didn't finish. But I'm considering it done, and I love it. It's beautiful. Let's see. Woo! This color here was my hottest temperature range, and that was from, I think it was 97 plus degrees Fahrenheit. I'm trying to keep all my ends to the back. Anyway, so that was my hottest, and you can see there's only here at the middle of the year, middle of summer, and a little bit towards the end of summer. But it was pretty, we stayed, this lighter blue was mostly, I think it was 85 to 90 range. And we stayed in that for quite a while in the summer. So yeah, it was hot. But I love it. I didn't do what a lot of people do, which is like a rainbow effect. I just chose random stash yarns and that I thought would look together. And actually the whole, the yarn that started it all, the color that started it all was this particular green here. I really wanted to use this in something, and it was a mini from, I don't know where that I hadn't used yet. I don't even remember where that mini came from. I have a lot of minis, and because I've moved things around, and like where I keep my yarn, I've moved it around. Some things I've reorganized, and sometimes the labels get lost, so I don't know what that one was. But most of these are leftover yarns. They're all fingering weight yarn that is merino and nylon. It's a 75-25, and as far as the thickness of it, they're all 462 yards per 100 grams. So which is the most common fingering weight. I love it so much, and it came out so big, and that I love. Look, this is my wingspan from here to here, and I still have a lot left over. But I'm going to stick it in my edit bin so that I can get these done. Now, my edit bin is actually, when I first moved to this house, you know, you're buying all of the things and stuff that you need to set up your new home. And for some reason, I bought an extra trash can, tall plastic 13-gallon trash can. I don't know why I bought 2 of them. I don't need 2. So that one ended up in my closet. And from time to time, I will make something and I won't put the ends in, and I'll stick it in that bin. Or I'll make something and decide that there's something that I need to do to it. I need to fix something, like there's one that's got a drop stitch that I need to go in and tuck in. I've got it secured with a stitch marker, but I need to go back and do that. I mean, little simple things. There are some things, excuse me, I just got a tickle in my throat. Excuse me. There are some things that I want to, like there's a couple of sweaters that I made that I would like to make a little bit longer on the bottom. They're technically done, but I just feel like I want to change that one little thing, stuff like that. So little by little, I've been kind of throwing them in this trash can that I'm calling my edit bin, and just kind of putting things in there for, you know, whenever I feel like getting to it, and I'll pull something out and do a quick little whatever needs to be done to it. So that this shawl is probably going to go into that edit bin, which I am planning on working on a lot more so that I can empty that out. I've got quite a few things in there. I think I mentioned last time that I have been putting my projects in a rotation throughout the week so that my phone will alert me every day which particular project that I'm going to work on that day. And obviously my whips and my edits are a lot more than the days of the week. So I'm only working on a certain few things at a time. And then when I'm done with something, I'll throw another thing into that rotation. I do have a day where I start something new. Not that I'm starting something new every week, but it's a new now project, not a however many years old project, if that makes sense. So that's been keeping me on task these past few months that I started doing that. So I'm gonna keep rolling with that, and I'm getting things done. I'm finding it really helps me with working on my whips as well as working with my stash. So let's talk about Advent 2021. I didn't buy Advent calendars in 2021. I decided after Christmas 2020 that I wanted to do Advent from my stash. So I picked a set of yarn. Actually, let's put this one away. I picked several yarns, 24 color combinations of fingering weight singles, and I held them double. Some I held them on within themselves, others I held them together with another color to kind of marl. Because I wanted to do a DK weight something or other. I didn't have a plan on the pattern at the time. I just wanted the DK weight yarn, but using fingering weight singles held together. So this is what I came up with, and I ended up doing the So Such Simple Poncho, I believe. Let me get my notes and I will confirm. And please excuse the hair. I kind of have a chicken butt right here. It was not going to lay down. So sorry. I got my list of stuff. Yeah, it's the Such Simple Poncho, and I will put the name of the designer up here. But I did get it done. I actually ended up, in addition to the 24 colors, I added 2 more. One was the border, the neck edge. So this one I added before I started. So this was my December 1st color. This was November 30th. So I did the neckline because I wasn't sure which one I wanted to do, the bigger size or the smaller size of cast on. Well, it's crochet, but you know what I mean. And I didn't want to open my first color yet. So I did this in a separate color. And then I've got my 24 colors, and they were all 32 grams. So I had 16 gram lengths held double. So 32 grams for each ball. And whenever one would finish, I would just add the other one. I didn't worry about whether or not I got to the end of a row. So I'm gonna stand up. It's huge. It is huge, and it's so perfect for around the house. I'm still in my pajamas because I'm still celebrating my birthday. But it's huge. So you can see here is like in here and here where the one color ended, and I just went on and added another color, and I don't mind that. I knew it was gonna look kind of funky and wild anyway, so there wasn't any point of trying to figure out how much yarn I needed to get to the end of a row, especially because when I planned these yarn balls, it was a year before and I didn't know what pattern I was going to use. So this was, I believe, an eye hook, a size eye hook. I don't remember the US conversion, or the millimeter conversion, but I will put that up here as well. And I love it. This is one of those where as soon as I finished, I literally wanted to rip it all out and do it again because I had so much fun with each and every color. And I just wanted to play with them one more time because a lot of these were little balls from leftovers of other projects that I don't have anymore. I don't have a lot of these colors, most of these colors anymore. And I just had so much fun. I wanted to play with them again. So let's see. There was this, and these are different brands, different indie dyers. I think I've got Pandy is Jewels, this is one of those. I've got some Malabrigo I don't remember the base, but it's a Malabrigo. I think it's Malintosh Light. Let's see. I don't remember what this one is. This one was a Nora George yarn on singles. Let's see. I think this one was also a Nora George. And I think that's about the three, except for this last one here, which was, is it a Mark and Catton's? I don't remember, but it's a very, very thin singles and it's got sequins throughout. You could see those. Yeah, some of these have sparkle in them, some of them don't, and some of these I over dyed because I did have a little bit left over and I needed other colors. So let's see. This orange here is actually this yellow Nora George over dyed with some orange food coloring. This purpley red color here is this pink that I over dyed with blue and purple, I'm sorry, blue and red food coloring. And this one here, right here, this pretty cinnamony color at the bottom. And I wish this was my absolute favorite. I wish I had a lot more of this. But this was also this same cream and pinky color that I over dyed with brown food coloring. I think it was called Copper actually. But they were all the Wilton's food coloring gels. I had so much fun just playing with these, and I really just, I want to like undo it and redo the orders and then undo that and redo the orders again, just because the colors were so fun, and it just makes me smile so much. And I'm glad that I did. I was mentioning earlier that I was trying to figure out which size neck to do, and I did the smaller neck. And I'm glad now in retrospect that I did that, and I actually kind of wish I had gone a little bit smaller, because this is kind of wide, and the bigger one I can't even imagine it would have been falling off my shoulders. So I'm glad that I did the smaller size. And that and I was on gauge. I did check my gauge as I was going. So I was or I did my gauge swatch before, and then I kind of rechecked it as I was doing the neckline. So I am on gauge. So if I had done the bigger one, simply because I'm a bigger size, it would have been falling off my shoulders. And I figured it's knit in the round and increase as you go, or not knit, crocheted in the round and increase as you go. So it didn't matter really where I started at the neck, because it was just going to keep getting bigger and bigger as I went down. Look at that. It's so fun. I adore it. And I didn't want to do like a fade. I wanted all the colors to just kind of just do whatever. And I love it. I feel so funky, and I haven't taken this off since I finished it. Just right after Christmas. So I am super happy about this. Now, this other one, because I did 2 advents. This other one was kind of a last minute advent plan. And I mentioned, and actually I have one of them here. I mentioned that I have a whole bunch of Hirschner's 2-ply Afghan yarn, which is a sport weight 100% acrylic. And it's actually a very good yarn as far as like knitting, because I've knit lace with this stuff. I have, this color was not in what I'm about to show you. I'm using it for something else already. But I've knit lace with this, and it's just sticky enough that it'll hold a nice block. Not a super aggressive block, but it'll hold a nice light block. And I'm just really, really impressed with this yarn. It's not just for blankets or Afghans. So I chose to get 25 colors out of my stash and just play with it. I did originally planned these colors in a particular order, and then as I was going along, I started switching things up because I didn't like certain colors next to each other. So this one wasn't quite as a random as the poncho. I only had one of each color because I went crazy and I was like, I love everything on the Hershner's website. Whoop, dropped it. And so I bought one of every color, but there was a couple that I bought more than one. And that was mostly because I was using it and I ended up running out, so I bought more. And because I am the way that I am, I bought a little extra just in case. So I had a lot of extra colors. So the main 24 are here. And I chose these thinking I wanted kind of earthy tones. And then one of the yarns that I had enough of that I thought would go with these colors was this teal green. And what I did was I used my eye hook again, and I crocheted a corner to corner rectangle so that it ended up on the bias. Now this is a wrap or a shawl, however you want to call it, so I can wear it over my shoulders. It's about 67 inches long and about 18 inches wide. So it's a good size to wear as a wrap. Now what I thought was funny about this is when I looked at the colors, I thought, oh, they look nice and earthy and cozy. And for some reason, this makes me think of the 1970s. It makes me, you know, it's a good thing that I didn't throw in an avocado green, because that really would have been like totally, you know, how the kitchen appliances in the 70s were like this autumnal rustic color, like rusty orange and earthy yellow and avocado green. And but I love it. It really does feel kind of nostalgic to me, and it's so cozy and warm because I held that sport weight double. So that made it really, really dense, and it went by so fast. I think there was 16, or no, I'm lying, 11 grams in each stripe. I believe it was 11 grams. And I can't remember, it's on my Ravelry page. It's I am the Tangled Cat on Ravelry. I have all the numbers listed there, but I don't remember. But so I did my corner, and once I finished increasing, I went along and did each of the stripes one a day. And then when I was ready to start decreasing, I did the color again. So don't ask me why I chose to do it that way, but that's the way I did it. So those are my two advents that I got done, and I'm surprised that I got them done on time because I am still only halfway finished with another poncho that I did for Advent, or that I was doing for Advent 2020. But McKaylee from Breaking Yarn is doing a make-along now from between January and sometime in March. I don't remember the exact dates, but you can go see Breaking Yarn's Instagram or her YouTube videos and find out the exact dates. But she's doing a make-along to finish up Advent projects. So that's going to give me a nice opportunity to pull that one out of the edit bin. Or I'm sorry, not the edit bin, the whips bin, and get that one finished. I'm only, I think, 12 colors in, and there's the 24 colors. So I want to get that one done. So yay for a make-along. But that's all the finished objects that I have to show you. I was working on those socks that I showed you the last time. There was the orange and brown, and then there was the pink and purple for my son and his fiance. I got them done, but I didn't get them done until New Year's Eve. But that's fine. They were okay with that, but I did get them done. And when I gave them to them, I was so excited that I meant to ask them for pictures of them on their feet, but I forgot. So I never got those pictures. That's fine. But they fit perfectly. I was really worried about the fit because when I make socks for other people, I usually try to keep it as a rib so that they can kind of stretch and scrunch back in to fit. And this pattern was the broken seed stitch socks. So as you can tell by the title, there's no really ribbing except for the top of the leg. So it looked really wide to me, the leg and the foot, and I was very concerned that they weren't going to fit, even though I was knitting to, I'd made them both socks before, so I knew the stitch count that I needed and the needle size, but they looked big, and I was very happy that it was just because they weren't scrunching in because of ribbing. So they fit good. They liked the colors. They were very happy about it. So I'm glad I got those done. Now I had another project that I was working on for a Christmas present for my other son. And that I am not anywhere near being done on. He chose to have a shawl done because he likes going to EDM raves. I don't know. I think that's what they're called. But a lot of people who go there wear pashmina scarves. And he's got one that he bought and he really loves it, but that's what he wanted me to make. Excuse me. I'm very congested right now. It's just allergies. I always get allergies all year round and it's terrible. Anyway, he wanted me to knit him a shawl similar to a pashmina that he could wear when he goes to these raves. So he had come and picked out colors and we looked at patterns and he chose the Oceania shawl. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he chose that. This is both lace and color work, knit flat, and I am so slow at color work and I started this way too late in the year to get this done. He might get this done by his birthday in March, but I'm hoping way before that, but I'm slow at this. And I'm actually starting to find a bit of a rhythm. But even though I'm getting a rhythm, I'm not quite getting speed. And I know that it's because I can't knit with both hands, with my yarn tensioned in both hands. And I don't like using the ring where you can put your yarn through and you can put many different yarns if you're doing color work. I've tried those and it doesn't work with the way that I tension my yarn on my left hand. So what I do is I have the one yarn on one side, the other yarn on the other side, and I pick it up, knit with it, drop it, pick up the other one, knit with it, drop it, back and forth, back and forth. So it's a little slow anyway. And because my birds say good morning. Side note, I have two canaries and I decided that I wanted to kind of minimize a little bit of the bickering they do when I change their food bowls, when I refill their food bowl. So I got them a second food bowl and it's been actually really, really quiet the past couple of days, but as soon as I turn the camera on, they decide that they want to get all vocal on me. That's the way it works with pets. So anyway, it's been slow going, but it is turning out so, so pretty. Now this bottom edge, I hope, blocks out flat. And that was the part that was giving me anxiety. Because up here is hard enough for me because it's, it's color work, but it's knit in the front and purl on the back side. This here is basically a kind of like a broken seed stitch in color work. So I was both knitting and purling on both sides. That's weird, especially when you can't tension two yarns properly. Oh my God, that little section took me 2 days because I was like, I'm done. I was stressing out about it, but I got it done. And then I got into this and I started getting into a nice rhythm. Like I say, the rhythm is fine. I'm just slow. I'm just slow. But I love the edgings. They're done, if the lace edgings are done as you go. And I have so much fun with lace. And this is no exception. Really, really cool. I just wish that it was a little bit wider. He wanted something, you know, wide to throw over, and the pashmina that he's got is rather wide. And while this is wide, it's the center portion that I wish was wider. But, and I thought about trying to figure out the charts to see where any repeats are, but it doesn't really look like it's easily repeatable unless I literally double the whole thing, and then I wouldn't have had enough yarn. So it's fine. I just wish it was a little bit bigger, but it'll be good. And it's actually going to be worn this way. Now, it calls for 13 blocks, and I just finished the 4th block. But I do want to make it, I want to get to the 13 and then see where I am lengthwise. And I may go beyond that just to make sure that it is long enough, even though it's not as wide as I would have liked. I think it's going to end up being about 20 inches wide. And that does seem wide enough for a pashmina type shawl, but it's the center part that feels too narrow to me. But I'm not complaining. It's turning out good, and he's seen it and he loves it. And he picked out all these colors and he's happy about it. Now, we did change colors because we originally had the pink, the blue, and the light gray. And then we had like a rusty orange. And the more I thought about it, the more it wasn't going to work. Mostly because that orange was a different type of yarn. They're all singles, but that orangey rusty one was a singles yarn. And as I was working the gauge swatch, it was knitting up much thinner than the other yarns. And it was very, very noticeable, and it wasn't looking good in the color work at the gauge that I needed for the rest of the colors to work. So I got rid of the orange and I had this black instead. The yarns, let's talk about those, because I don't think that I mentioned what they are. And I don't have the tags with me. Yeah, I am never prepared. So the blue and the pink are both from Breaking Yarn in her experiments page. These are her experiment page are colors and or yarn bases that are outside of the normal that she sells with her regular Breaking Yarn colorways. So they don't have color names, but this is her fingering weight, and in like a turquoisey robin's egg kind of blue and a fuchsia pink. And then the black and the lighter gray both have, I don't know if you could tell, there it is, sparkles. And here's some on the gray. And these are Miss Babs. I don't remember the base name, but they're both Miss Babs. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just wish that I was faster at it. I like working on it. It makes me smile. I'm having a good time. The chart is really easy to follow. Although I did have to print them and tape them together because the chart on page only is from here to here, and then you got to do from here to here on the other chart. So, no, don't drop it. So I taped them together. Other than that, it's working out so good. I'm really enjoying it. I just wish it would go faster, and I wish I had planned it a little bit sooner so that I could have gotten it done for Christmas, but he's okay with it. He's like, I don't have any raves to go to anytime soon, so take your time. And I'm like, I love you. So that is the only whip that I'm going to be concentrating on right now, probably for the next couple of weeks. I'm figuring that it's taking me about a day to finish each little section now that I've got my rhythm going and I don't have any other projects to finish. It takes me about a day to get through each section. So let's see, I've got 4 done and the pattern calls for 13, so that's at least 9 days. But I think I'm probably going to extend that. I was thinking 16 sections. So 12 days plus however long it takes me to do this crazy bit again on the other side. I am dreading this. I am so dreading it because I did not like doing it. Color work is hard for me in the round when you're doing nothing but knits, but doing knit and purl makes it a lot slower. And this knit and purl and changing colors at the same time was giving me anxiety. So I'm kind of dreading doing that little, what is it, 1.5 inch edging. I'll be fine. I'll be good. So that's really all that I have to show you right now as far as whips. I do have some plans to do. I showed you that one blue ball of the Hirschner's Afghan yarn. I decided, because I really enjoyed working with it, that I wanted to get all of my colors again. This time all of them, not just a select few. I want to get all of them and crochet kind of like a memory blanket kind of thing. But they're only going to be little 3-inch squares, and I'm hoping to do 1 square a day-ish. I may or may not add a border. It depends on how much of the other yarns that I have left, to see if there's anything that I have enough of to make a border. But I'm just going to sit there and crochet a square, whip stitch it on, and then the next day do another square. So I want to do that. I've got 1 started. Today's the 4th, so I got a couple to catch up on. But they go really, really fast, and it's a nice way to start my day. And I'm going to do that completely random. And then when I go through all the colors once, I'm going to go through and do it completely random again. We'll see how that works out. I do have stipulations though, because I have found that I don't like red and yellow together, because it makes me think of mustard and ketchup, and I can't get it out of my head. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, mustard and ketchup. Weird. I don't want green and red together, because that'll be kind of Christmassy, and I don't want Christmassy anywhere, and like holiday theme anywhere. And I don't want to, for the same reason, I don't want to do black and orange together. And I don't want to do black and yellow together, because that song comes into my head, black and yellow, black and yellow. So yeah, stupid reasons, but those are my 4 stipulations. Those combinations of colors cannot be put together. So if it ends up that when I'm adding the new square, that one of those combinations is going to be touching, I'm not going to do that one. I'm hoping it comes out completely random, but we'll see. That's going to be the fun part of it. I just have those 4 little stipulations. I love this thing. I can't stop loving it. It's my friend. So let's get into what I read. I read a lot. Now, in December, I was working on the trilogy for Godblind, and in I think it was November that I did the first book, God Blind, and in December I did the second book, which was called Dark Soul, and I'm still really, really enjoying this trilogy. Now in January, I'm going to read the third book called Bloodchild. It's kind of a darker fantasy, magic and kingdoms and all that kind of stuff, and it's really, really, really interesting. I wouldn't say it's my favorite read, but I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm excited to get to the conclusion of it. I listened to The Two Towers. November was Fellowship of the Ring, so I did The Two Towers, and spoiler for January, I've already finished Return of the Kings just yesterday. Those were all on audio with Andy Serkis reading. Oh, it has been, I don't know how many years, 25 to 30 years ago that I read these books, and I forgot the differences between the books and the movies, other than there's a few main ones that obviously I remember, but there was those few little minor details that I'm just like, oh God, Tolkien is so good. So I finished Two Towers, and I just now finished Return of the King, and super, super happy that I finally reread them. Now as an adult, it's funny the things that you take away from a story when you read it as a young adult, and then when you read it as a more, I'd like to say I'm mature, but anyway, I take away different things now than I did when I read them when I was a lot younger. So it's very, very interesting, and I really enjoyed that. My local library is doing monthly reading challenges, and the one for December, one of the things that they put on there was to read a spy novel with a female protagonist, or a female spy. So I read Red Joan by somebody. I want to say Jennie somebody, but I'm not sure. I'll put it up here. But I read, well, it was an audiobook for Red Joan, and I just found out that there is a movie called Red Joan with Judi Dench, who I love, and it's based on this book. So I want to watch that now that I have finished this book. It was really good. It's a young girl. She somehow gets involved in doing science. She's working in the science department, or studying in the science department, and she gets involved in a project, and now, years later, this project has gotten her in trouble with MI5. If you don't know, MI5 is basically the FBI of the UK. So she's having to answer some questions, and all of this was kept secret. She was told when she was younger that everything is confidential, blah, blah, blah. And now here her son is trying to defend her against these MI5 people. Like, why have my mom here? This has nothing to do with her, blah, blah, blah. And she's having to reveal that, well, it kind of was. So it's really, really good. And it kind of goes back and forth between her past self and the current self. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to see Judi Dench in that role. I adore her. Wonderful actress. And I did I did Murder in an Irish Christmas, which is a cozy mystery set in Ireland, by Carlene O'Connor. So that was the next one for that one. Now in January, and actually I just started it today, is Murder in an Irish Bookstore. And then I think I will actually be caught up on that series, and then I'll have to wait till the author decides to put another one out, which is very stressful for me. But the big one that I read, literally the big one, was War and Peace. Now, War and Peace I did in a combination of ebook and audiobook. Now, there was a wonderful audiobook that was done by Audible, this Audible original, adaptation or reading of War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, read by Thandue Newton. She did such a good job. I thought it was going to be a little weird having a female voice in what is primarily a male character dominated story, especially about war in 1800s Russia with Napoleon. And I wasn't sure, but she really did a great job making all of the voices distinguished from each other, recognizable. You knew who, because that's why I did the audio book, was because reading it, there are so many similar names that I was getting confused. So the audio really helped me because she would distinguish how the voice sounded for each name, that I knew which Anna they were talking about. I knew which Maria they were talking about. I knew which, I think there's a couple of Nikolais. I was surprised by not only her performance and how much I enjoyed that, but the story. I'd never read War and Peace, mostly because, it's huge. And I thought, Russian war, Napoleon, that's going to be dull as heck. It wasn't. It was so, so good. It would go back and forth between the social life of that era and the battlefield. And even when they were talking about things that I don't understand, like the war strategy and, the geography and the terrain and where they were placing their soldiers and this and that. So there was a lot of things that I was like way over my head, but the way that it was written, I found it rather enjoyable, and I was very, very surprised, especially because I do volunteer work in a used bookstore. And when I mentioned to everyone there that I was planning on reading that for December, everybody just went, oh. So I was so scared. I was like, why did I commit to this? I'm not going to finish. I'm going to hate it. I'm going to have to bail out on this read along that I committed to, and yeah, when I say committed to, it's not like they're going to come and break down my doors and say, why aren't you reading War and Peace? But, I said I was going to read it and I wanted to read it. And I found myself really, really, really enjoying it. I would just sit there and knit and have it on in the background and think, oh, I'm only going to do an hour. 3 hours later, I'm still like, okay, and keep going. And I had it on while I was doing chores or while I was driving. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. It took me the entire month because it was very long. Plus I did there's 2 epilogues that are really, really long. So it took a long time, but I enjoyed every time that I picked it up and turned it on or picked up the ebook. I really, really enjoyed myself. It was the only reason why it felt daunting was because of the size. Once I got into it, it was the size that was daunting. But I made it through and I actually finished a few days before the end of the month. So I was very, very happy about that. So now I'm contemplating whether or not I should continue with this group of online friends that I found in this Discord to continue some classics. They are contemplating Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, I think. I am so uncultured. But I actually have that on my Kindle already. I'd been wanting to read it, and it's definitely not as big as War and Peace, but everything that I'm hearing tells me that it's nowhere near as entertaining as War and Peace. So I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't know about that one. But just being with this group of people and how much fun I had talking with them online about different parts of War and Peace, I don't know, I may continue with this group and do that. They're also considering the Count of Monte Cristo, which I really, really hope that that's the one they picked. Because, yes, it's a huge book as well. But I did start reading that years ago, and I never had the time to really sit down and finish it. This was when my kids were really, really young, like toddler age, and I just didn't have time to sit and focus on this huge book. But I loved everything that I read up to where I had gotten to, and I love the movie with You know who I'm talking about. Geez Louise. It's gonna drive me crazy. I don't remember. It's there. Jim Caviezel. It was right there. I wanted to say Ezekiel, but I knew that wasn't it, but it was similar. So Jim Caviezel. I love, love, love that movie. And I mean, who doesn't love a good prison break story? Revenge, all of that. So I hope that's the one that they pick, but we'll see. So that was my reading. I've got literally this same Discord. They have so many different groups of people doing read-alongs, and I want to join every single one of them. They're just stories that on the Discord, they just keep like, oh, you should read this, that's so good, and oh, you should read this, that's so good, and we're doing a read-along, blah, blah, blah. So I've got so many books planned. I'm still planning on doing the monthly reading challenge with my local library. I think this month is, what is this month? Is reread something that makes you happy, which I think I've already got that done because I just did Return of the King. I already ticked off that box. And what is the other guideline? I don't remember, but I'm planning on sticking to that, and we'll see what I can do. I basically got for the entire year my whole reading schedule planned out. I mean, things could fall off of that. I might switch things around, might add things, who knows. But I have a tentative year-long reading list. We'll see how it goes. Some of them I need to buy. Some of them I found at the library. I'm able to borrow them. Some of them I already own. So exciting. So that's all my reading. Let's talk about things that I watched. I finished Wheel of Time. Wow, I just did that to my hair. Looks bad enough already. Forgive me. I just did not have the patience to make this lay down. Anyway, so I finished Wheel of Time, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I've never read the books, and I think that some of the book readers were not quite so happy with it, with the TV adaptation, but I, as a non-Wheel of Time reader, enjoyed it. It has made me want to go and someday read those. I think there's 14 books. Not going to be this year because I've already got things planned, but I do plan on reading that in the future. And now I am into the final season of The Expanse. Really loving that. And that is actually one of the book series that I plan on reading this year, is all of the Expanse books, because it's a science fiction, and I really, really enjoyed the show. And then let's see, there was a couple of other shows that I just kind of threw on for the heck of it. One was called The Head. I think that was on HBO. It's about a group of people who are in the, I think it's the Arctic or the Antarctic, I can't remember. But they're basically at like a research facility, and somebody dies, and they got to figure out which of them, who are literally the only people there for 6 months at a time, nobody shows up, nothing, for that whole winter time in the freezing cold. So it has to be one of them who is the killer. So it's done in a really good way, because you see them all celebrating their first night together and saying goodbye to the previous 6 months crew. They're leaving, this crew's coming in, and then it jumps to 6 months ahead, and the next crew is coming back to relieve them, and they find not good things, and they got to figure out how that happened. So it kind of goes back and forth between past and present. Really, really, really enjoyed that. So it's called The Head. And then there was another one that I watched called Requiem, and I think that was on Netflix. That was an interesting one. It's kind of a ghost story, mystery, haunted. The girl, there's secrets in the girl's past that she's trying to figure out. It's really, really good. It's really interesting. And I'm trying to remember, it's been a couple of weeks since I finished it. I'm trying to remember if they made it to where, I think there is, like there's enough of a cliffhanger for there to be another season. So I'm hoping, because I really had fun with that. My son took me to see Spider-Man No Way Home. Tears were shed by both of us. It was really good though. It was good. That is all I've got right now. I will see you again at the end of the month, because this one was a couple of days late. But that was because I was celebrating my birthday. So happy 4-year Podiversary and happy birthday to me, because I have no shame in saying that. I will see you all next month. Hopefully, temperatures start to go up now, because I am so cold. I hope that you have a wonderful month, and I hope that you are finding time to do what makes you happy and to spend time with the people that you love. Obviously, trying to stay safe in these times of germs. But I hope that you can still find joy in all the craziness. So I hope to see you again next month, and I never know how to end these things. So bye.